Okay, so everybody is in the wrong place. So I am going to start moving people around. Can somebody just say something so I can make sure your sound is working?
I don't feel like saying
Cheerio.
anything.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so welcome everyone. I'm going to move everyone's camera around as before we start, but we're very lucky tonight to have Dan True, who is the creator and author of the book, which is called Book of Schemes, and he is going to be the guest GM tonight. So I get to play, and I just like to say to everyone, there's totally different skills being between a GM and a player. I just want to make that aware right at the beginning. The chat says hello, Dan, to you, just so you know. So, right, I am going to start moving people around. And if I can hand over to you, Dan, and you can lead us from here.
Yes. Good. Well, let's get going. Well, first of all, to set up the scenario that we're going to play, it takes place in the city of Guelden, which is, if you think of a mid-15th century, so about 1450, 1480s, Germanic city. So think trade guilds, think noble houses, city walls, early black powder weapons, and so on. Lots of trade, lots of ironworking, plate armor, things like that. It sits in a region called Vitringia, which we won't be touching upon. It'll be very focused on even a fairly small part of the city. The city is about as big as Florence was at the same point, so about 25,000 people, and it is a very flourishing trade city. Just a short history for your own benefit, because you're supposed to be playing inhabitants of the city. The city grew very, very rich on mining, specifically on gold mines, where it grew from a small river town into a true provincial city. But then about 30 years ago, the gold veins ran out, and that essentially meant that all the mercantile layers of the city had to pivot over to focus more on iron working, on steel production, and various other commerce like that, whereas noble houses were caught completely off guard, and that led to a period in the city's history called the strife, where the political system was uprooted. So the burghers, that is the mercantile middle class, the ones in the guilds, rebelled and essentially torched the princely palace in a rebellion. So this is about 25 years ago, and introduced a new political system. So now there are still nobles in the city, and there's a council of nobles, which is the official ruling body, but under those are the House of Commons, which are the ones who actually hold the purse strings and actually enact laws. So the city is a sort of a middle class dominated, not upper middle class dominated democracy, but of course it's rife with corruption, nepotism, favoritism, and so on. And underneath the burgher classes are the working classes, the commoners or the workers, which are all the ones not doing crafts, not organized in a guild. So that is, of course, a layer of criminals, but it's also most mine workers, because they have not been allowed. There is a miners guild, but that's for the people owning the mines and operating the mines. The mine workers are often day laborers. It's for dock workers and things like that. So there's a huge underclass of people in the city not organized in guilds. Then there's a middle class layer of fishermen and carpenters and various other middle class people organized in guilds, which like hold up the political system. And they are ruled by the upper layers of guilds, which are the goldsmiths, the bankers, the miners. And then there's nobility on top, which still have very flourishing, rich lives, but most of them actually have to sell their political opinions to the burghers to make things go around, because they've been constrained in the political system. So that's sort of the setup. You'll be moving mostly around, if not exclusively in this adventure, in the lower layers of the city, between burghers and criminals and commoners, essentially. So I'll just shortly set up where we're going to start, and then I'll give you time to introduce characters so everyone knows who is playing what. So you have been hired by a man called Grimel. Maybe I should show you a picture of this guy. I will find one in a second. And Grimel, he has hired you to, in a few hours, meet him at a place called the Pewter Pot in Shantytown, which is a part of the city in Guelden you're very familiar with, where you are supposed to essentially act as, not as muscle, but as supporters to him in a meeting he's about to hold. He has hired you. He has told you that he represents some business interests in the city, which he's not. He says he doesn't pay you enough to tell you further than that. But he represents some business interests in the city who's investigating attempts at undermining the city itself, which he's investigating, and he needs your help. So what he needs your help with is meeting him at the Pewter Pot in a few hours, which is this inn. And he will there take a meeting with a smuggler who's supposed to tell you where there's an illegal weapon shipment. And you're supposed to be there to essentially show the smuggler that you can protect them against any sort of fallback. He doesn't expect violence in any way, but more to say that to show that he has people working for him so that he can take care of business, that he's not just an individual. And after you've interviewed this smuggler, you're supposed to locate, based on her finding, the illegal weapon shipment, and then essentially bring him to it, and then neutralize it, remove it, and then help him further in his investigations on from there. He hasn't told you more than that, but you're supposed to meet him in a few hours, and you're going to be paid 40 silver pieces each for the trouble, and you've already been paid 20 each, which you can add to your character sheets, and then you'll be given the rest on completion. So that's in at the time of day now is middle of the afternoon, so about 3 o'clock, and you're about to meet him in 2 hours. That's 5 o'clock, and then you're supposed to have early supper together with the smuggler, and have a chat, essentially, to find out where these missing weapon where this illegal weapon shipment is. So that's the setup, and you've all accepted. You all know each other from before. You've done various odd jobs around the city, as suits the various backgrounds you've been reading. But I will give the word over to you to one by one tell each other who your characters is, who your characters are, how they look, and various other things. Yeah, over to you.
I guess I'll just jump in first because I'm playing Enelin, the most social character in the group. Very high charisma, high intelligence. That's going to be a challenge. But she was daughter of an affluent merchant, and due to events that I'm not sure I should be sharing necessarily, hate guilds, and I'm going to make my own destiny. She's well versed in academic things. Coming from my background, she's very, very knowledgeable about the law, and perhaps I know a little bit about what should and shouldn't be smuggled. She's a bit brash with a low power characteristic. So I think she's a bit more impulsive. She's of average height, maybe a little bit short, lean. Somebody who frequently changes outfits, I guess, and has some rather fine clothing when necessary. Probably just simple brown hair, otherwise unremarkable appearance. That's Enelin, as far as I can tell so far, and I will pass mic over to Captain Kangaroo.
Everyone, I'm Captain Kangaroo. Tonight I'm playing Heinrich or Hendrik. Heinrich, yeah. I messed that. Heinrich. So he is. He grew up as pretty much a gangster, or part of a little small child's gang, and then they kind of just went up from there. he went through some issues recently, and now he is working until he gets on his feet and figures out what his next move is around, I think, his cousin's bar, which is the bar we're all taking place at. He's kind of working on as like a little bouncer, just deal with the drunkards and whatnot. But Dan, you said he knows everyone they'll be meeting here.
Yeah, you all know each other from before.
All right, so he'll know them and everything, and hopefully he won't have to do his job this afternoon. We'll see. But then I'm going to pass the mic over to Medevac.
Why, thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Medevac, and tonight I'm playing Leopold Becker. He is the son of one of the owners of a mining company, Becker Steel. He's had such a debauched life of just womanizing, spending money, doing things off the rails, and then he's also embezzled money to feed the poor and to save the underdogs of the world, and that's his goal. His goal is to help the downtrodden and stick it to the aristocrats that are out there, because he's not happy. He's seen what his family have done to people, how the workers are treated. So he's definitely not a fan of his family. You can see him dressed out of what was once probably fine clothing. It's now a bit weather worn. It's no buttons, that they're kind of just sewn with the togs on there rather than being the silver that used to be on there. The other thing you do notice is he's still got his messer, and his knife is tucked in his belt as well. Yeah, he's in this inn because he's helped out the innkeeper, and he's been able to stay here a few nights because he chucked out some aristocrats that were causing a bit of a hoo-far in there. So kindly, he's been allowed to stay, but it feels that it's time to go, time to move on. So with this meeting, that should hopefully help. And with that, I shall pass on to Wills.
Thank you. I very rarely get passed on to, but thank you. I'm playing Roger. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, Dan.
It would be a Rutger, but yeah, the sound is probably hard for you.
Yes. So he's going to get Roger. That's what he's going to get. Anyway, really sad story. I'm a quack, a doctor, but sadly, I'm a very bad doctor at that. And to make matters worse, when I was but 5 years old, my parents sold me on to a mage who taught me some magical cantrips that I try to use to perfect my trade. Unfortunately, I got into some sort of conflict with them, and this has really left him with a dislike. Well, more than a dislike, he has a hatred for authority. He doesn't like it at all. He travels around. He's a wanderer, a hobo that moves from place to place, selling potions or collecting or making potions. He has some an understanding of alchemy, but he's not a good doctor. He's not that knowledgeable at all. So he uses his deceit to fudge the truth and, hopefully stay away from the very disastrous cases that he has no idea how to actually cure at all, hoping that he can just hand over one of his elixirs and everybody will be fine. And if not, by the time anything bad goes wrong, he's moved on somewhere else. He's not too sure what he wants to find next. This is just a town that he's stumbled across, but hopefully he'll find a reason for being here, and hopefully he will end his life here. Hopefully he will move on. And with that, I will pass back to our guest GM tonight. Back to you, Dan.
Yes, thank you. Right. So, as stated, your task is to meet him in a few hours, 2 hours more specifically. and that means that you have a bit of time to prepare if there's anything you need to do, things your characters need to talk to each other about, or things you need to check up upon before you meet him. But only a few hours, and you all base currently at this inn that was mentioned earlier, which is a different inn from where you're meeting. So you're based on at the Ox, which is in the eastern part of the city, and your Shantytown is about 15-20 minutes walk away. So so you have about 1.5 hours, which you can spend more leisurely, or you can prepare for the evening's activities somehow. If there's anything you want to do, otherwise we'll just skip ahead to the meeting.
Dan, can I ask what sort of like the law level is around here? And do we have the weapons that are in our combat styles? For example, do I have a staff with me, or is it just sort of like concealed weapons that we need to hide as we move around?
You have the weapons on your character sheet, not necessarily in your combat styles. So on Rutgers, you have a knife, a staff, and a sling. The staff is the staff you can carry around. It's very common. This is a mountainous region, and even so, it's very, very common that if you have to go outside the city, you need a staff to like jump small ridges or small clefts in the mountain, or use it just to stabilize yourself on mountain paths. So walking around with a staff is very, very common, and walking around with a knife is allowed. Messes. That is a langes messer, a long knife, which is a sword length knife, is sort of the symbol of the burgher classes. And even though it's technically not allowed to walk around with them, the burghers just do it because they own the political system. So the city guard doesn't enforce that at daytime. If other weapons than the messer, and especially weapons in the hands of the lower classes, is frowned upon, and you at least will have to pay a bribe to go around with it if you're walking around with a sword. Swords specifically are reserved for the nobility. They can carry their swords around everywhere without any problems by ancient privilege. But at night, if you are armed with anything more than a knife or a staff, you need to carry a lantern with you. So being caught at night with a weapon but without a lantern is essentially the same as being caught murdering someone, or at least brutally assaulting them. Simply because you say, okay, you're armed and you're not visible during the night, we just assume that you either have done something or you were about to do something to someone. Of course, small knives are so common that everyone carries them. They're not considered weapons. So there is a city guard. And the city guard's main interests are keeping the peace in the city, so stopping rebellions and riots and protecting the commerce. So commerce doesn't like pickpockets and things like that, but they don't investigate much. So you can't expect them to investigate a murder, for instance. That's up to the individuals bereft afterwards to sponsor someone to investigate them. But they will, of course, capture a murderer if caught red-handed or something. And there is a jail where you can spend short whiles before you get executed. Then there's a whole separate law system for like debt and financial systems, which is much more complex. You can end up in debtor's prison, for instance, if you owe someone. But so it's fairly civilized, and but still in a non-modern. There's not a what you would call a modern legal system. It's this old mess of various codes with various addendum, and that's why you essentially need an expert to make your way around the law in any wider way than just what ordinary people do. And that's why what Enelin specializes in to some degree.
Nice.
And I'd actually like to leverage that before we go to our meeting.
Yeah.
Yes, I have the contacts among merchants and lawyers of the city on my character sheet, and I was hoping to approach this meeting as prepared as possible. Maybe go around and ask some questions like, what are the most likely things to be smuggled? What's something that a smuggler might claim to smuggle, but it's a lie to throw me off? Kind of gather as much information about the world of smuggling. I do have lore of law and streetwise, but I'm not sure if either of those will help me here.
Yeah, that would be a law check. Law. Yeah, that's a tongue. And because you have those contacts, I'm gonna give you one. Make it easy for you. So take an easy law check.
All right. Walk on over to my best friend, and what do you know?
Is this the first point of luck that's going?
I think I'm just going
Well,
to
no,
take
you've made
the
it,
61.
You've made it, haven't you? Yeah.
So you hit 61.
Oh, wait, no, if it's
Yeah,
easy.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
easy,
I
yeah.
saw the
It's
standard,
easy,
and
yeah.
You made it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that does help.
Okay, so smuggling in Guelden means transferring things inside outside the city or within the city without being a merchant, essentially, and without paying proper tolls. So usually when you import something, there's going to be a toll for it, and when you export it, there might also be a toll or a tax, export tax, levied by the guild typically, and then passed on to the Assembly of Commons for part of the city's budget after proper expenses, of course, at the guild level. So that's essentially the definition of what smuggling is, but that of course is very varied. So you could have a spice smuggler who's just someone essentially the same as a spice merchant, but who's not members of the Merchants Guild, or maybe even a member of the Merchants Guild who just doesn't want to pay the import taxes on the spices because he wants to take that for premium for himself. So that could be one case of a smuggler, boring kind. And of course, at the other end, there's people importing weapons or exporting weapons illegally, or even things like black powder, alchemical components, other things that could wreak havoc. Right. Alchemical components used in the mining industry, for instance, could be explosives and things like that. So that's the other aspect of it. In this case, you know that Grimel wanted you to investigate illegal weapons shipments. And illegal, there's nothing inherently illegal about weapons by themselves. It's more the carrying them at night and outside your class that makes them illegal. So one thing that could make them illegal is that they are either black powder weapons supposed to be exported outside of this empire Vitrinkia, because that's illegal, or it could simply be that they are sold to people who are not supposed to have them. Like if you sell swords to commoners, for instance, that's not supposed to happen. So again, there's nothing illegal necessarily about the sword, but the act of moving it to the lower city and selling it to a gang member would make it illegal because he's not supposed to have a sword.
Gotcha. That's
so various things.
The higher price things would probably be things that are more obvious, like a large sword compared to spices that you may or may not have paid your taxes on.
Yeah, it's hard to tell whether a spice shipment has had proper taxes if you don't know where to look at the paperwork in the dock worker's office and things like that, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
There would be a paper trail for that, but that would likely require visiting a merchant and the dock foreman's office and various other things to figure out. It's not something where you just open a crate and say, "Oh, this is illegal." Of course, there are also semi-illegal substances, drugs, poisons, and things like that, which would also be moved around by smugglers, but usually I don't think if you call them smugglers, carrying like 3 doses of venom and selling to someone is more like you're a peddler, right? But it's still technically smuggling because you're carrying something that's illegal or contraband. But again, depends on who you are, because a poison is not necessarily illegal if you're a mage, because there can be reasons for you to have that poison.
Are there any rumors that my merchant or lawyer friend might have about mysterious goings on in the streets? Do they have a tall tale to tell me about? Is there a legend of a poison dealer out there?
There are legends of poison dealers, but it's not something you would see as related to this. And of course, there are poison dealers. You know,
Okay.
you know you're able to buy poisons somewhere. You don't specifically know where you would go, but you know it's possible because poisons are sometimes used in assassinations, in the political scheming and in the upper classes.
Okay.
But it's not something you or your friend knows about.
Good to know. I guess since I have limited time, I'll probably pack it up there and head to the meeting.
Yeah. Anyone else needs to do some preparation?
The only prep I'll probably be doing would I imagine Heinrich's pretty excited about doing something that's just not bouncing, something that's similar to what he was doing in the past. Or at least be able to use the skill set he has. So he'd probably be working on preparing for the meeting as much as possible. Being that he's kind of already somewhat employed there anyways. Is there a back room that the planned meeting's going to be at, or is it going to be just right at the bar?
Oh, that's you know the pewter pot. So and they
Like-
don't have any available back rooms. It's a fairly small establishment. So you're just
Okay.
going to be sitting in a corner and shushing away people who get too close.
He's pretty much we'll spend the time making sure that there's space and everything for that back corner, and that there's going to be as many patrons there as possible.
Okay, so you go to the pewter pot and simply start preparing the scene.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
As soon
well,
as, yeah, go for it,
so,
Leopold.
Well, mine's quite simple. I'm just taking out my old battered lantern that I've had for many weeks and months. I've been on the streets. I had to have it to keep my trusty messer with me, just to make sure that's primed with oil, and I'll be good to go.
Okay.
I would like to cast incognito on myself.
Right before the meeting.
Yeah, just before. So I'm sort of like, it won't alter me at all, but it means that people won't be searching for me. And I think I'm very much like this in any case, because I don't want any of those patients rather than victims that I might have not done very well with. So I will roll my folk magic skill. No laughing, please, people.
Yeah, that's failed. But you can do again as long as you want to spend magic point.
Yeah, no, I will believe it's working perfectly.
Okay, great.
And head off.
So you believe that you're hidden by your incognito spell.
Yeah, I trust my magic.
Great. Okay, now I have an image of Grimel first and foremost, which let's see if I can post it in here. I am not very Roll20 fluent. How do I post in an image?
What you might
Can I just drag and drop it into the
yeah, try. So yeah, drag and drop it onto the chat or something. I might have to promote you to actually the GM, but have a go and then we'll see.
Okay, into the chat, you say.
Yeah, I would try that or onto the big
work.
screen.
Yeah. I can also just make in a description of it. If it's I can send it to you on the that's I'll just send it to you on Discord and you can
and then I'll upload it and then that's it. Yeah. Brilliant.
That's probably the best. You're a bit more Roll20 savvy than I am.
Nice. Right, let me just
and that reminds me, when I'm rolling dice, I will be rolling physical dice, just because I don't get to roll very many dice in my life at the moment. So I don't want. I want the clickety clack on the.
Get the old fashioned.
Yeah.
I get it.
Okay.
Can't beat that noise.
Yeah. Precisely.
Okay, it's players. You should be able to see him.
Yeah. So that's Grimel that you're meeting, who hired you. And then, 1 second, I have a image of the meeting as well, where you're meeting the smuggler. I'll send that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great. So you all, yeah, Heinrich, you've been at the pewter pot for some time. At the when the rest of you guys show up, and the pewter pot is a small establishment in Shantytown, and it's an illicit inn, which is very, very common that part of town. Illicit here means that the innkeepers are not part of the innkeepers guild. But that's very common because the innkeepers guild is a very fragmented and weak guild at the moment. So it's fairly common in the lower part of the city that people don't want to pay the guild dues and therefore are an illicit inn. And the pewter pot is one of those. It mostly caters to people working in the mining industry. So off-duty miners and some dock workers. Though this is in Shantytown, so you're a bit further away. I will also share the city map actually, to give you all an idea of where we are. I don't know if we can. Can you guys see on Roll20 my mouse or things like that?
No.
No.
It should work if you. I can see.
Yeah, if you do that, if you
if you hold down, it'll ping.
Yeah.
So if you sort of like left click and hold it down, we can see where
like
there
that.
you
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Here comes the maps just loading in now.
There.
There
Okay,
you
that's
go.
very
Yeah.
cool. Can we zoom in on that somehow?
And players, and you should be able to just zoom in using your zoom on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can see Shantytown in the middle of the city.
Mm.
And Shantytown is sort of like the central part of old Guelden. It's as the name suggests, it essentially grew up as mining shanties when the city first exploded when gold was found. Whereas if you see this cliff up here, which is commonly called the hill, that's where all the nobles live and the upper classes, and that's the oldest part of the city. And then it sort of exploded outwards when gold was found in the mountains. So Shantytown was the first part of the city built around the river, and that sort of shows. It's very, very narrow alleys, and some where, while many buildings are no longer shanties but real buildings, they've sort of been built on the old plots where someone just put up a shanty 200 years ago. And that means that this part of the city is very old twisty roads, where some of the newer part of the cities have more open alleyways. And it's still where a lot of mine workers live, and commoners and dock workers, people working at the docks, and they so it's a very, very like worker class quarter. And that's where the pewter pot is. But yeah, Heinrich, you've been there a while, setting up the meeting spot, like moving tables away, and then making sure that no one sits at that table that you've selected, and making sure, like, moving the table so it's you can see, you will be able to see to the door and things like that, various setups like that. And then when the rest arrives, you were at 5 o'clock. There's a when I say clock, there is a city clock on the hill that you can see, at least in daytime. So people actually, you don't carry around chronometers or anything, but you actually have a clock that you can follow. So when you all meet at 5 o'clock, you enter together with Grimel, who meets you outside, who you've already met, and then Heinrich has prepared the scene for you and sits down on the table. And then it seems that Grimel, he wants to start chatting a bit with you, but before he really gets going, a woman slides in, like from the other end of the room where she's been sitting, and moves in front at the opposite side of the table from Grimel, and that's clearly who you're supposed to meet.
Okay.
And you can see her on one of the other images to her over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. He'll excitedly just kind of point down, make sure she's comfortable. And he's probably just kind of like looking at the door, see when the rest arrive, because he, as I said earlier, probably a little excited to actually have a job he's really interested in. Yeah, but besides that, he will offer any drinks, anything he can get for them.
Yeah, sure. So you'll just pay out of your own personal.
Yeah. He's probably just so that way he knows.
Okay.
He can
Well,
get,
for this,
like he'll consider it an investment if anything. He probably doesn't have much, but.
So you're 6 people at the table. So if you drop like 4 silver pennies, then you'll get some supper with some fairly weak ale.
Nice.
And some bread. It'll be fairly basic fare, but that's what you get at the pewter pub.
That's fine.
So some bread and some stew, likely. Okay, so so you start eating supper. Grimel and Rachel has clearly met. She introduces She introduces herself as Rachel. So like Rachel, but with a Y, because we're in Germany. Fantastic Germany. And it's clear that her and Grimel has know each other from earlier. So this is part of an ongoing operation, seems, where she's been feeding him information before. But Grimel like it wants you to sit on his side, like around the table, so that he's opposite her and you're like around to sort of kick in. And it starts. The conversation starts with a bit of small talk. Which is where you get that they've clearly been talking before. I'm not going to narrate the whole conversation.
I get that.
Pretty boring pretty quickly. But it's clear they've met before, and then after some small talk and supper arrives, they start talking business. So before us just start narrating what she tells you, are you any one of you taking any precautions for either what's being said or what's going on around you, or how are you entering the conversation? Are you standoffish, I'm just a thug protecting these people, or are you trying to get involved in the conversation?
I'm going to try to get into some kind of shady position, if I can have a chair by the wall, so I'm looking out, and I'm keeping very quiet and trusting my colleagues to lead the discussion. But I am going to make sure that I'm keeping an eye out throughout. I don't want to bump into anybody that I might know, or they might know me. So I'm keeping alert for that. But yeah, it's a seat with my back to the wall, and where I can prop up my staff as well. I trust the others. They're good at their jobs.
Well, Leopold is he's got one ear on the conversation and one eye on the bar, and he's also just casually looking around as well. But he is focusing more on the bar and thinking, Be nice to have another drink again. Yeah,
You
but
have been served some weak ale,
yeah,
but you're wondering if you should spend money on something stronger.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want me to do a decadent roll just to see if it's?
Oh, so yeah, sure.
Yeah.
If you want to, if you can stop the temptation, sure. So your decadence is 50%.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. You fail the decadence roll, which means you manage to not be decadent.
Yeah.
So you will say,
Which
"Oh,
is good.
ale is fine for me tonight." Yeah.
Indeed. Yes. One, and I need to concentrate on my job and watch this lady and see what it said, but keep an eye out also.
You're probably thinking that you need to concentrate on the job so you get the next 20 silver pennies as well.
Yes, that's very true.
I'll just lean over to Leopold and say, good decision. Good decision. Don't really want to have to cure you again.
But that was just the once. It was an accident that time.
Once?
Once? Seriously, no, I've never done that before. It's just the once. You don't know what.
Need some.
Seriously.
You need serious lessons in
You
counting.
keep that stuff away from my mouth. Okay.
What is Enelin doing?
She's not going to be listening to that at all. She does not need to know what the doctor does. Enelin is focused on this because she is sort of like a legal aid clerk to Grimel, perhaps, maybe. And so I'm focused on the conversation. I've got my deceit loaded in order to help Grimel make his point. I've also got my insight because I don't trust this lady fully. But I want to be friendly, positive, enthusiastic with the ale and the meal, and engaged in the conversation.
So you're getting very involved in the conversation itself.
Yes.
Okay. What about Heinrich?
Heinrich's gonna get involved. His biggest thing is he's probably been thinking about this for a few days. And based on his past and based on kind of the way he's been raised in the area, he kind of knows the in and outs of the alleyways. He knows ways kind of to avoid guards and whatnot because he spent a lot of time mugging and whatnot for meals and whatnot. So his idea is, where's the start and where's the end of this, and how are we going to finagle our way through?
Okay, good. So so she starts talking and describing what's going on. It's clear that she wants to be brief, but Grimel sort of keeps interrupting and asking for details, and sometimes she gives them and sometimes she doesn't. It's clear that while they know each other from before, it's clear that they don't see completely eye to eye in at what level the privacy ends and starts in their relationship when it comes to these things. But Grimel asks about the weapon shipment, and they're told that the weapon shipment was picked up in a small village a few hours sailing out from Guelden down the river. Guelden is a river city. And she refuses to be more specific about which village it was. They've received payment from the job in advance through an agent that she doesn't know the name of, and wouldn't tell you anyway if she did. The crate came in this night via riverboat, and they were unloaded in the secret along the river. And the crates were then moved to a warehouse in the Iron Quay. How's that said? Quay? Quay?
Mm-hmm. Key. Yeah.
Quay. Okay. Iron Quay. Before first light, she wasn't. She was just offloading, and someone else. She saw them carrying them in there, but they were quite heavy, and there were 3 big crates in total. And then, as sort of the conversation moves along, Heinrich and Enelin, please make perception checks or insight checks, depending on which is best for you. Good. So you both succeed. Okay. It's clear that as they're talking, that Rachel is not very calm. It's clear that she may be getting cold feet being involved with Grimel in this. and she's uncertain whether this is going to backfire on her.
Mhm.
And so she's very hesitant coming up with further details. And in return, Grimel is getting annoyed as he keeps like probing for more details, and she keeps avoiding and changing the subject. And he gets more and more irritated during the conversation. So it's really not going anywhere beyond that for now, unless there's something you would like to try to go into. Unless any one of you wants to go into the conversation and trying to change that in any way.
Yes.
Enelin does at least, yeah.
Yeah. The big worry, I think, is that we think that getting cold feet and not wanting to get in trouble with dangerous people. I want to use my influence to try and reassure her that we are on your side here. We will take care of you, and we'll make sure that nobody comes after you. I'll look to Heinrich to try to sell that.
Okay. So you're trying to calm Rachel, essentially.
Yes, convince her that she's safe and that this will go well for her.
Okay, then make an influence check.
Another 17.
Success. Yeah. Heinrich, are you getting involved into the conversation?
Yeah, I'll get involved. Obviously Heinrich probably doesn't really believe what everyone else's abilities would be. He'd probably go more towards a deceit on this one. He's willing to play along with.
But what are you trying to do?
Just kind of push what they're saying of suggesting it's all gonna be fine. It's all be worthwhile. And you'll be safe regardless of how things end.
Okay, but you're still focusing your attention on ritual in this.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so yeah, you fail your deceit, but Enelin with a very, very large margin succeeds on her influence. So you succeed in calming ritual, but it actually seems that Grimel is getting even more annoyed over that. Not over that, but that that it sort of took you guys to get her to finally spill some more beans.
Mm-hmm.
But after a bit more talking, you get told that let's see, I need to figure out which of these. You get told that the warehouse is on somewhere on the 4th row from the docks of the Iron Quay, and it's marked with a carved icon of some sort. But she refuses to tell specifically what it is or doesn't know.
A calf, like
what?
A calf icon.
A calf. She doesn't tell. She just says icon like carved in. Oh yeah, carved into one of the beans.
Oh okay.
Yeah.
But she doesn't say what symbol it is. And she says that the weapons are for one of the 2 big gangs in Guelden. And Heinrich, at least you know.
Yeah, I would imagine.
That the 2 big gangs are the White Larks and it's the Brass Dogs. Those are the 2 really big players, and most other gangs pay allegiance to one of those. There used to be a 3rd one, but they're gone now.
Yeah.
And no one will remember the name.
Ominous.
But the others of you may be aware to some degree of that, but not necessarily much. So it's one of those 2, but she doesn't tell which one. Great. So I need one of you to roll 2d3.
Inwell should roll it. Inwell should roll d3.
Oh, how many do we want?
2d3.
2d3. Here we go. 4 in total, a 3 and a 1.
Great. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, that's the conversation where you get these details through, like, say, half an hour of conversation where she continuously, like, tries to come up with some details, but then backpedal sometimes, and it's a bit of an annoying conversation, which is why at the end, Grimel is quite annoyed because he is clearly, without any need for an inside check, it's clear that he's thinking, I'm paying this girl a lot of money, and she just refuses to come up with anything specific. But at the end, you still have some details to go on. It's still a fairly large area, but it's like the fourth row is still more than a kilometer long, but
Yeah.
it's something to go on at least. But then
Can we get out of her any other, like, just like any more like anything that might stand out of where it's near or anything like that? Anything, because it's again a kilometer long of all these
That's a
warehouses.
long
So you
way.
can't check. I
there's a
can't
lot of
check every warehouse.
Yeah, it is.
We have a way to cut down on that,
Ooh.
but maybe not when we're sitting here with Grimel.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that'll help a lot.
Well, anyway, Heinrich, you start. You're still digging for details. The conversation isn't open, so you're trying to dig for details. But then, Rutger, you were watching the rest of the room, right?
Yes.
Make it. Okay. So, and was Leopold as well, right?
Indeed, yep.
So you two, you're watching out through the room. Make a perception check, please, both of you.
Nailed it.
Both of you.
Nice. Very nice.
Okay, great. So, after about this half an hour of conversation, you've all finished your supper and your bread and your ales. Suddenly, the door yanks open, and 10 people walk in very noisily and angrily, carrying improvised clubs, and most of them, and several of them have langesmessers at their belts, but not drawn. And they start yelling about how this is an illegal establishment, and they're from the proper guild authorities for this, and they just start tipping over tables and like beating people until they go out of the hall. And as soon as they enter, they just spread out and start making a mess of everything. So yeah, that happened.
Is there another exit here, or is it just the one main entrance?
What?
Is there a back way out of here?
You're sure there's some back way out of here, but you don't know it.
Could I channel my hatred of guilds and all those guild jerks and try and evade my way out of here without getting hit? Like the moment I see them.
Yeah, you can certainly try. So you just want to get out. Yep.
I want to skedaddle the moment I see them making a fuss.
Okay.
Would you like evade for that?
Well, in a second. The rest of you, what's your approach to this intrusion?
I want to cast ventriloquism and almost like make an insult come for them, sort of like the furthest away from the door I can make it. The idea is sort of like to send this insult out so they sort of like go off in that way, or they're sort of like attracted to the
Try
back.
to get them to move away so you can escape.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me roll my folk magic.
1 second. Oh, yeah, sure. We'll just keep that roll, but
Yeah.
I'll just narrate what happens. The rest of you? Oh, you're muted?
Yeah. Sorry, thanks. Knowing that probably want to maintain the comfort level of our person that's telling all of us this stuff. I'm going to try to see if I can do perception roll on if there's any back room or like not like a back room for us to hang out at, but like a storage room or something. Maybe there's a back way out of here.
Okay. Make a perception check.
All right. There we go. No.
Yeah, sorry. For easy, okay. This was easy. And Leopold?
Oh, sorry. Yes.
No. What are you doing?
Oh, sorry, I was doing the same thing. I was actually looking for a back.
You
just
can't
waited
keep
for-
that
I was
well.
looking for a back door. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what I said earlier. Was I was looking for a back entrance. Yeah.
You were also looking for back entrance. Okay.
Yeah, he did
So-
say it. Yeah.
Okay. So what? Both Leopold and Heinrich. And when these enter and start making noise, you look at them, and then as soon as you start looking for back entrance, you essentially both just spot the bag of ritual escaping out from the back entrance. As soon as someone happened, she was out of there.
Oh wow,
you
she's
don't
fast.
even, yeah, she definitely knows the place. Because it didn't take her 2 seconds to escape. So she's already out the door, and that means you know where the back door is as well. Before you
Fantastic.
manage to spot her. Let's see yeah, you could roll evade, Enelin. Please do.
Yeehaw.
Nice.
You fail miserably. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't say I was good at it. I just hate the guild so much I want to get away.
And Rutger, you also failed your ventriloquism card. Okay. So what happens is that so you two spot her outside, so you're looking at those, and then looking outside, spotting her, and your attention's there, and then Enelin just Rutger starts doing something weird, and then he yells at them, "Come over here, you guild scum!" And then he realizes that he just yelled back, and it didn't come from the other end of the room as he expected. Of course, you don't know that. And then Enelin gets up and starts running, but two guild vigilantes that was responding to Rutger essentially runs into her, so she falls over. So you tumble down onto, you don't take any damage, but you tumble down on beside a table, and two guild vigilantes are now going towards you, Rutger, with the clubs raised. They still haven't drawn their weapons. And from the perception checks that you succeeded on when they came in, you can tell that they're, by not drawing the messes and using improvised clubs of various things, they're probably not there to kill anyone. They seem supposed to be there to maybe break a few bones and ruin stuff.
It's more of a warning.
Yeah. That doesn't mean they won't draw them if provoked, of course, but so far no one has drawn a bladed weapon. The rest of the patrons, there were about 15 other people. They are scattered. Some have already run out. Some are on the floor with a broken arm or at least a hurt arm. So there's complete chaos within the common room.
I'm going to look down at Grimel and say, "Come, the exit's over here. Let's go."
He looks at you and oh, okay, and he starts following you.
Can I make it to the exit, or are these two ruffians too close for me to get away safely?
Well, they're now in. There will be an engagement range, sort of on your next action. Of course, you can still try to run, but you might get a few club hits on you.
Right. So will I have to disengage from them or not?
I would say recommend trying to the outmaneuver maneuver.
Yeah.
And try to use your evade against both of them. I don't think you're very good at evading though, so it might have some consequences. But
yeah, I'm not good at anything. So I mean, my magic is
in your own head. You are
my magic is my best skill. I just would like to point that.
I might have to at least do a little bit of just combat to save you guys. Maybe I might even have to roll initiative. I'm going to do my first strike trait and then pop out my club and see if I can help save the old doctor a bit.
Okay, so when they come towards him, you have a club. Yeah. Are you attacking them or are you just trying to say you stay away?
Stay away, but at the same time, if they go after the doctor, I'm going to have to attack them.
And if
Yeah.
they come after me, if they get to me, or one gets to me, then I'm going to just try to defend with my staff the best I can.
Okay. Good.
But
So
I'm also trying to leave room for everyone to like behind me escape out the back, and then I'm going to also once everyone's out the back, I'll escape out the back too.
okay. Okay. So you make an influence check, and you can augment that with your combat style.
Okay.
It's plus 15 on your influence.
Yeah. I'll do that.
So that puts your skill at 56.
Influence. Let's do it. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That's a crit. Okay, so you what you do is that you pop up and like step in front of them, and then with just a flick of your wrist, suddenly you have a club in your hand, and it's clear, and you're holding your left hand in a way that says, "I have a dagger here" or something. And you're really good at like making your whole body language say one step closer and there's a dagger in your throat or something like that.
Yeah,
Which
I love
makes
it.
them both stop in their tracks. And that enables Rutger and Enelin, who's on the floor, to it allows you to scamper up and go behind Heinrich, and it allows Rutger to follow Grimel and Leopold out the back.
Cool.
Perfect.
So, and Enelin, do you just run away as well, or do you want to do anything more?
Oh no, I definitely want to scramble to safety before I get a bad idea, like trying to kick the back of the knee of one of the
because you
guards.
crit, I will say that they will be there for enough combat rounds for you to for the rest to just move away, and for you to move to the back. Because your whole with the crit, your whole body language is very mess with me, and one of you dies. So even with the club in front, it's clear that you have something else. The way you're standing, it's clear you have something else concealed in you to them, and that's enough for them to just say, okay, we don't want that. So they allow you to escape and start breaking a table or something like that instead.
All right, it's perfect. Worked out for me.
When you come out, there's no sign of Rachel at all. She's scammered. But you and Grimel fairly quickly move a bit down the street, so you get away from the pewter pot. This is a back alley because you exited from a back room, so you're in a back alley and you move out until you hit a street again around a corner. And then so Grimel, he says, thank you for your quick reactions there. That could have turned ugly very quickly. Too bad.
Yeah, I know how they work.
Yeah, too bad Rachel got away before we could get the last few details from her.
Where'd you find this lady? Like, she seems way, she doesn't have any idea of where she left this mark. She's not telling us where she left this mark. She's not really giving us information.
She's afraid of being things coming back to bite her. I've been talking with her for several weeks now to try to nail down this shipment. But she doesn't really want to come around and get the proper details in order. Anyway, I think you should track down this warehouse now. I will go prepare my other people, and then when you know the location of the warehouse, meet me back here. And I will wait for you here with my people, and we'll go to the warehouse.
All right.
Shipment in order to figure out who's sending these illegal weapons shipments into the city.
All right, but if they're not getting any trails back to me, I don't want any problems with either the white dogs or the other one. So we'll see.
Yeah, none of us do.
Meet you at the same place.
Yeah, just meet here when you. I will get my people and we'll wait here for you.
All right. We'll be back in a bit.
I assume I'll be done faster than you guys. So.
All right, sounds good.
Yep, sounds good, definitely.
Great.
I'd like to, when they've gone, I'd like to maybe have a chat with some homeless people, if there are any around this sort of area, and ask if there's any markings that have been put up recently, any strange activities going to any warehouses that they might know of, if anybody's seen anything.
Okay. 1 second. So yeah, so Grimel leaves you and yeah, starts moving away down the street. And then yeah, it's for you together. So you want to talk to like destitutes and street urchins?
Yeah. I mean, I've spent many nights here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something that when you're on the streets, you notice things because it's life or death. So I'm hoping that somebody's noticed something strange down this 1 kilometer road. That
it might help if we talk about our general plan before you go off talking to the destitute people. I don't know. Because I think we have a lot of information here, and we can essentially solve this with just a few steps. Finding out where we need to go.
How's that, Edlin?
Enlighten us.
The first thing that we can do is we can narrow out like a bunch of the buildings on the 4th row. We know it's on the 4th row. We know it has a carved icon. And so we can narrow it by that. But we can also, probably tomorrow, go to the dock workers and see if we can get a look at their ledger. Because if we can see all of the different legal shipments coming in, we can narrow those off as places that it likely isn't. And that should narrow it down to, we go down the block, we say where it shouldn't be, and we see if there are any carved icons outside illuminating the shop. We don't know what carved icon, but if we can say narrow the 15 or 20 down to 2 or 3, then we can investigate from there.
Edlin, that's a wonderful idea.
The carved icon is not like above the door. It's like in a field somewhere. It's a hidden icon, so it might be harder to find than just walking down. From what you understood from the conversation, it's like someone has carved something somewhere on it.
That's a little harder then, but still.
The second thing is Grimel will be back within a few hours waiting for you, so you can't just wait until tomorrow.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, it's a warehouse. I'll point out that it's still a warehouse. They would have had legitimate things put there too.
Yeah.
So you can go through all the records you want, and all these warehouses will have something legitimate inside them.
Oh.
There's not one particular warehouse that's going to be high. Put your
and on the ledger says, wink, wink, non-illegal weapons.
We've never had anything here.
There's very likely to be a bunch of other stuff in that warehouse, yes.
Good point. I guess I assumed that if we saw that there were legal shipments of weapons elsewhere, we might try areas that have no shipments recorded, because that's where you might be able to catch them.
No,
those are all good points.
But you would like to go through ledgers to try to solve this or something like that?
If I can find access to ledgers, I'd like to see if I can put my knowledge to use. I am literate, if that helps.
Yeah, sure. As you could try to, I mean, that would probably mean figuring out which area, like which companies have warehouses on that row, and then breaking into their files, or asking nicely, but probably getting a no. But that is an option.
Well, I guess if we're all splitting up to gather information, I will go and try and get files. People like me, guys.
You can try. Sure.
You do what makes sense, Edlin.
And you guys can ask other people. You were going to talk to the destitute, see if you can get facts out of them.
I'm going to take my little extra little bit of beer that I put in the bottle that I've got, because you never know. And I will find somebody that I may recognise, and I'll just hunker down and say, "It's going to be a cold one tonight. Have a sip of this." And as I'm doing so, I'll say, "Seen anything strange going on through the night?"
So Enelin is going to try to find out which companies have there, and then see if you can get access to files. Leopold will go talk to the destitutes, and Rutger and Heinrich, what are your plans? Unless you just follow along with some of the others.
No, Heinrich actually has a plan. So Heinrich probably has a few years under his belt with working, either fighting Gains or working with Gains. He probably would recognize a few people, or at least recognize a few maybe clothing types that like a game member would wear. His mission would be walking kind of up and down the fourth row, seeing if he either recognizes anybody or recognizes anything suspicious. Because odds are, if these are weapons that are being supplied for a gang, they're going to have guards protecting that warehouse, and not like typical dock guards, but like people that would most likely be working for the gang.
Okay, yeah, sure. So you're
So-
trying like finding it through turf mapping, or
Exactly.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and see if anyone's kind of if there's two like not gang members, but like two men who look a little suspicious guarding a door. Like, well, that seems, it's weird for just basic items being protected like that on a dock. So he just kept, hopefully maybe a perception roll might work out or not. I don't know.
I think I'll head out with one of the others, hoping that my magic's going to work sooner or later. I do have a commerce skill, so I might head along with Annalyn and, be there for her. But I would like to try and cast my incognito again if we're going into any places or stealing in. You'll be aware that I don't have a really good stealth skill or anything like that. So park me somewhere to be safe.
I'll always keep you safe.
A role that might help, I guess. Maybe either streetwise or my lore underworld.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, though that's what we one of the ways to do it. 1 second. Let's see.
No problem.
So Wodka is tagging along with Annalyn.
Yes.
Great. Cool. And what are your plans for meeting up again? Because now you're splitting up in a city, and it's close to nighttime. Evening is falling. So what are your plans? When will you meet and where?
Can we just use I'll just sort of like talk to everyone and says, "Wait, let's use the clock. 1 hour back here."
Yeah, 1 hour might be good enough.
Yeah, 1 hour makes sense.
And if people are needing it, we'll an extra an hour might be enough. And if you're gone for 2 hours, we'll assume you're dead, and then we'll start a new investigation.
Sounds good.
But we should meet
Very
back at
optimistic.
the inn we've been at, the Ox.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. And that's in just for everyone. That's in the more western part of the city, a bit low. So that's west of Shantytown. No, sorry, east of Shantytown. About over here.
Oh.
Yeah. So
That's a nice spot.
the Ox has fairly good access to the Iron Quay, which is here. Iron Quay.
Yeah.
And you're currently around here.
Okay.
So you can fairly quickly get down to the Quay or to the Ox.
All right. We use Ox as the meeting place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the inn you're sort of based around.
Yeah.
That's where you work as a bouncer, and the others have lodgings.
Perfect.
And mostly lodgings paid by doing various odd jobs for the innkeeper, and or begging in the case of Leopold, trading in buttons. Okay, so Heinrich and Leopold, while you're doing two different things, you're very likely to be in the same area, because you're looking around for turf and you were looking around for homeless people. It's probably gonna be being around there. So let's start with you two. And let's make let's see. You both have streetwise, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, you can either make a hard perception roll or standard streetwise, depending on which skill is best for you.
Definitely streetwise. Sure.
especially at a hard penalty. It most likely be streetwise.
Would my lore underworld be able to augment it at all, or no?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
All right, so it's 41. What's the augment on that? That'd be
Yeah. What's your
is-
world skill?
my lore underworld is 41, so that would be
Not
8 or
8.
9.
Yeah. That's put 8.
I'm going to be using a point luck to reverse that.
Ironically, what he rolled is what my streetwise is.
Oh,
Oh wow!
that's
funny.
very good.
Yeah, nice.
So I'll do a reroll on mine.
There you go.
Very nice.
So 2 good rolls. Good. Okay. Okay, so yeah, Heinrich, your turf mapping, or for lack of a better word, you start moving down, and again, for darkness is about to fall soon. But you're moving down the 4th row of warehouses from the quay, and start looking around for suspicious people, and you definitely see groups of suspicious looking people around. There's no like obvious those 2 people are watching that warehouse. But it's clear that in the western part of the 4th row, gang activity is higher. You would say that they're watching the place. Not you can still can't narrow it down to a specific warehouse, but you've sort of limited to 1/3 of the row. By simply because it's clear that some gang is there, and make a law underworld check on top of that.
Lore underworld. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, this would be easy. Yeah, you're making that. You think that most of the people you see watching them are just street urchins and very like kids and various other things, where you can see okay they're definitely watching something for someone, but you do see a few group of people looking like gangs on what you, if they were guards, would be called a patrol. They're moving about the area, and you think that you gain that from your streetwise check, but your law underworld checks tells you that it's very likely brass dogs.
Brass dogs.
Yeah. You'd say from the people you see, someone you've seen before, and the markings on them, you think this is probably brass dog turf.
Yeah.
So either that means that the brass dogs are the one getting the shipment, or it means that the white larks would have to infiltrate foreign turf to get to the shipment if they're the ones getting it.
Yeah.
Cool. So you limit it down to about 1/3 of the 4th row, which cuts away
Nice.
from search.
Yeah.
And Leopold, you start talking to some of these street urchins, curiously the same as some of the ones Heinrich has seen, and various other destitutes. You get told that it's fairly common actually to have various things carved into beams on warehouses. Because first of all, once it's carved in there, it's going to stay there for the lifetime of the building. Most of as long as it's a beam, at least. There's a lot of it will be graffiti of various kinds, slurs and dick pictures and things like that. But you are told of by someone that you used to get drunk with on some of the worst liquor in the city.
It was cheap, but it did the job.
That there are a few warehouses along in the area. He doesn't know which row and things like that, but where these signs have started popping up once in a while, but sometimes they also get removed again, which is a bit odd. but so sometimes you'll be sleeping up on a warehouse wall and notice that some sign has simply been like chiseled off or cut off with some tool, which has he finds that a bit odd. And he also he says that had mostly happens in the western part, but it's happened on several warehouses over the last several months, which means that many warehouses actually have removed marks from removals.
Yeah.
But he can't pinpoint a specific one which he knows has a mark now.
Gotcha. I'll pat him on the back, give him a last swig of my bottle, and you stay safe. You stay safe.
You too, friend. I'll get drunk or something.
Right, I'll see you one night and I'll buy you a drink.
He appreciates that very much. Okay, so that's the down in the dirt investigation. So let's move to the higher, the merchant woman. So your plan was to try to get access to some files or try to figure out something through and using Rutger's also knowledge about commerce somehow.
Yeah. The goal is to sort of leverage 3 of my skills to try and get our way into some information, see what we can do the bureaucratic way. I'm very good at lying and I hate guilds. So the goal is to pretend to be a guild auditor of some kind and lie my way in. And if I can, I'd like to change out of my normal clothes into my fine clothes to help sell that image of a guild auditor. And of course, this is my assistant Rutger.
Okay.
And so I have deceit as well. So I hopefully will be able to augment your deceit. But I also want to make sure that I'm determined to get a spell cast by the end of this session. This is my target. So I would like to try and cast incognito on myself again, if possible.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Here we go. Oh, no. My deceit is 71. So that'll be 14 onto your dice roll.
I'll add that to my 74.
Oh, we were made to be together.
But I guess my goal is, well, yeah, we make a great team. Yeah. My goal is to try and make some educated guesses to where to start first, I guess. Go to companies that I most suspect or guilds that would be most likely to be involved with weapons, perhaps, like perhaps a guild of ironworking or something. Since you said there's many different businesses. But that is the goal or plan. Okay,
so from your knowledge about guilds, you know that you can't pass yourself up as a guild auditor because they're so well. There will only be a few in each guild, and they will be very well known. So of course you don't try to do that, but of course there are various other ways to get access to files. So let's see how you could go about doing that, because you do make what was your role? Let's see, what was your combined skill when you?
I have deceit, and I wanted to work in my hatred of guilds, but I also have like lore law and commerce, but I'm not sure if I could. I was trying to think of like using lore law as I have the authority to come in here and see these documents, as does my assistant.
Most businesses will be closed at this point, but you have a fairly extensive contact network. So most likely it would be through those. Okay, but so you're trying to. Okay.
If it's through my network, it would probably be less lying and more influencing because I'm on good terms with Sam.
Yeah, I would say so. So make an influence check, and you've brought Rutger, you say.
So, so I can augment your influence as well if need be. So my influence is 65. So that'll be 13 that you'll be augmented by.
All right, had it in my 13 augment, and you wanted an influence. So here we go.
Oh,
Not bad.
Not bad. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's
So,
great.
okay, so you get a fairly high. Great. So you don't narrow anything down specifically for this warehouse, because that would probably take days looking for various companies' files and crisscrossing things in some sort of master room where you have places to put it up onto the walls and various other things. What you do get, however, is you talking to a guild a guild searcher. I think their names are in the Merchants Guild, which is your old guild, so someone you know from back then. And it's one of the people in the Merchants Guild who's responsible for essentially checking, well, as you said, auditor. So it's the ones the elected guild representatives who are supposed to check up on other members of the guild, whether they pay their tolls, things like that. What you get told is that there is a specific area of the Iron Quay where there are a lot of break-ins, where the thieves don't seem to take anything, which really has this friend of yours perplexed. So when he's this is an old friend you've had, which is why you're speaking to him over a glass of wine at his house, and he's now had several experiences of merchants who's reported break-ins into their warehouses, and then when they check themselves, they can't find any missing merchandise, or the merchandise they're missing is very slight. It's only a few items taken. And then when he goes in to check sometimes, in case of auditing, or when he follows up on things, he finds the same. And that sort of thing has increased. Of course, he hears from them because it happens across various companies, where for each company it maybe happened once or twice. So there's this weird series of break-ins where nothing seems to get stolen. And that's been going on for several months now. And he's very perplexed. And he starts talking to you about it because he's like, no one wants to listen to me, that this is weird, because we're not losing anything. No one's getting anything taken. So they just think that maybe they broke into the wrong house or something. But it does mean that guard patrols in the area are hourly now, because the merchants has talked to the guards, so they're at least trying to be alert in that area. So there should be hourly guard patrols around most of the warehouses in the area. But the explanation for these weird the break-ins where nothing gets stolen is quite odd to him. But it seems to happen in the western end of the K district mostly.
Would it be fair to just hypothesize with him that then, if they're breaking in, is it possible that they're like storing something for a few hours? Or are these already packed warehouses and you go in and it's full, but nothing's there, or nothing's missing, I should say? Is it like a half full warehouse, full?
Most of the warehouses are fairly full most of the time, because there's so much commerce.
So you couldn't like bring in and store an elephant in one of these cases and then take the
You
elephant
could probably
out.
put in a few crates without anyone noticing. Yes,
Okay.
that's quite possible. There would be a lot of space in between crates and on top of other crates, where it would take days before someone noticed it didn't match the roll supposed for the stock. Or let's say a shipment of firewood comes in. So Guelden imports a lot of firewood for the furnaces. It gets burned to charcoal, and because you can't transport charcoal, it simply becomes powder, right? So it imports firewood that gets burned into charcoal, and then the charcoal gets put into a furnace to make iron products, and then the product is either smithed or exported as an iron bar, right? So let's say some firewood comes in. It gets stored in a warehouse. It might be there for 2 to 7 days before it gets sent to whatever charcoal burner buys it. And in that period, if someone came in and put 2 extra boxes on top of those, no one would notice until it gets plugged for the charcoal burner, right? And they would notice extra boxes. So that's quite possible that someone would put things in. Yeah. And he gets a bit intrigued by that. Of course, he's had a couple of glasses of wine by then. And like, well, that sounds like an interesting thought, but why would they do that? He can't really get to grips why someone would like break in to store things. But
well, and he's part of the guild, so I don't want to share too much with him.
He's part of the Merchants Guild. You're still like legally a member of the Merchants Guild through your family. You're just disowned and like but yeah,
they fill me with hatred, and so I don't fully trust them. It's a whole thing, Rocker. Just be fine with it. So he said that they're primarily in the western area of the fourth row. These instances,
the western area of the Quay.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, they have the entire. Yeah, okay. Because I wouldn't have told him we're going for the fourth row. Okay. Does he have any ideas why it's the western side rather than the eastern? Is it just because it's closer to the river, or?
He doesn't know. I mean, he would actually, like, from his point of view, he would think that if it was due to criminal activity, it should be in the eastern part, because that's closer to Ragtown and the really bad places in the city. The western part of the Iron Key is closer to the dealer stock, where most of the like the non-metallic imports and exports are done, like spices and foodstuffs and things like that. So he's also a bit curious about that, but river access is probably a good reason. There are more opportunities for getting boats closer to the warehouse without getting noticed, because of the smaller rivers going in as well. So he doesn't know beyond that. But the river access, he thinks that sounds like a good idea, a good theory to explain it.
Okay, I don't think I have any more questions, but Assistant Rutgar, do you have any?
No, I think we join up with the other two and find out what they found out to see whether or not everything cross matches now, and then we can narrow our search.
Yeah, that'll be a good idea. Thank you, my friend, for sharing your wine and house with us for a short moment.
Anytime. Talk about old days.
And I'll make my way politely out with my assistant.
Good. Okay, so you meet up again after about an hour or so. All of you.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the goal.
Indeed. Yep.
Yeah. So you meet up again at the Ox, at the inn where you all. So at this point we're about 7 in the evening.
Yep.
Darkness is falling at this point.
Oh, I don't think I have a lantern.
Yeah, but you're not armed, so.
Do you have a sword?
Or do you have? I don't recall. Do you have a mesa? No.
I didn't have a lantern in my inventory. I have a lot of clothes. But
you have a knife, so you don't have to carry a lantern.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'd still like to be able to see at points, but I guess we'll just make our way. As long as I'm not going to get arrested, I guess.
Yeah, it's the lantern thing is if you're armed. With anything.
Okay, and Rutger, you don't have like a sword or anything. You just have your staff.
No, I just have my stuff. My trusty
I don't
stuff.
want to run afoul. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, you all meet up at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And the Ox, and you can like hypothesize what you need to do now.
What did you find, Rilke, Annalyn?
You're muted.
Am I muted? No.
I'm muted.
No,
we
Pickles
found...
is.
We found that there are a number of break-ins on the western side of the Iron Quay, but the break-ins are just nothing's taken, so it's perplexing to the people in my network. And there's more guard patrols on the western side of the Iron Quay.
Which is weird.
That's the big thing that we learned. Yeah. How about you guys?
Two
Anything?
theories are what that would mean. What I picked up, I saw a lot of people I've kind of recognized from back in my old days. They're also hemorrhaging around the western side, so I think that's where things will be going down. But at the same time, the break-ins is weird because typically I would imagine if you would want less guards in this area, so you would creating all this break-ins. You have to be really trying to get something will break it in. Otherwise, I would imagine it would have been a diversion to attract guards.
They are stealing something.
Yeah.
It will be that crate that's not on the manifest. So
exactly.
it gets crept in, and therefore when they go and grab it, there's no change on the manifest.
Yeah, so it looks like nothing was stolen.
Yeah. Leopold.
All right.
What did you find out, Leopold?
Well, one of my old friends, he was saying about these markings that are there one night and then they just get erased. And it's happening on all different buildings around the western side. It's been going on for months now.
So then, yeah, go.
Yeah, so somebody's covering the tracks while marking a meeting point, perhaps, and then getting rid of the mark later on.
Or spreading the goods across a range of merchants, so they're not always stealing from one place.
Yeah. Well, the options now, probably one last sweep, all of us together, see maybe we can find the warehouse that was marked by a lady, and then head to our employer, or we just tell him we think it's somewhere in the west, which I don't think he's gonna be very happy about.
Let's try to pin it down a bit.
Yeah. Well, let's stay together this time. We don't have time to branch out anymore. Just I have a lantern. Just stick around me, but keep an eye out. I don't think the gang's gonna like seeing us walking around.
We do look pretty tough, our little group of four. So I'll change into my normal clothes, by the way, not my fine clothes.
Good idea.
Not gonna wear my Sunday best.
So you'll make a sweep of the area you've so far narrowed it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, this 1/3 portion of the fourth. I just keep an eye out for any like pillars or anything or what that would have a weird marking on them.
Okay. And are you gonna be doing it like in the open with uncovered faces and lanterns, or are you gonna do it sneakily in the darkness with covered faces and moving from shadow to shadow? Which you're 4 people, so like how are you?
It would make sense for us to walk around with a lantern, open it. We don't want to be suspicious towards the guards, and it's gonna be hard to hide 4 people.
What I wouldn't mind trying is acting drunk and just do my usual Honda staggering from building to building.
Yeah, you know that act well, yeah.
I do indeed. I've practiced it many a time. Some would say I'm an expert. So yes, that's what I'd like to try.
So you're trying to stagger around drunk, maybe a bit away from the others.
Yeah.
And the rest of you are moving as a group, just strolling, not trying to look suspicious.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So will you try to you've already learned that there are guard patrols in the area. Will you try to dodge them, or will you just try to act non-suspicious?
Try to act non-suspicious.
Yeah.
Is the best thing.
Yeah.
Because again, I don't want all of us having to roll stealth 18 times looking for this thing.
Yeah.
And
again, doing anything illegal, you're just looking at
exactly. We're just walking, we're just looking.
Yeah.
At this point, yeah.
Okay. So great. Okay, you've narrowed it down to the western part of the fourth row of the Iron Quay, and you start essentially from the westernmost part and start checking the various houses. You very quickly find these marks that hint that something has been removed, and they do stick out a bit because you essentially you let's say you find a warehouse wall. Most buildings here will be constructed from stone because you're in the mountains. So beams and things are there are of course wooden beams holding up the roof and things like that, but they're not wooden houses, or then they're not made from wooden. What's it called when you have wood and clay?
Wooden pillars or wooden
Wattle
yeah.
and door.
Wattle and doors, yeah.
Wattle and door. So they're not made from that. They're made mostly from stone, and the roofs are mostly made from shale. Again, because you're in the mountains, so roof is at a premium. Wood is at a premium. Oak wood and good construction wood is at a premium. But so there will be, like, let's say a stone wall, and with the wooden support beams, and then marks in one of the wooden beams where something has been removed, but then on the stone part someone has drawn something, a graffiti. Like some ugly thing, as graffiti. Be something against the upper class or something like that, which has not been removed. So they do stand out a bit as why would you chop in the wood for that, but not clean the stone wall, right?
Yeah.
So you very quickly run into those, but it takes you 2 hours of combing through the various warehouses before you finally narrow down to which warehouse you believe it is, which is it's a big warehouse, again in the western area of the Iron Quay, fourth row, and made from local stone with a shale roof, and looking mostly like all the other warehouses. But in one of the support beams for the roof, you'll find a small carving of a tiny dog head.
Okay.
Next to a doorway.
Cool.
So it's if you have the support beams that are on a doorway, it's sort of like on the side of the beam, right? And it's about
Nice.
5 centimeters. It's something you only notice if you look for it. And you have to go through all the warehouses looking with the lantern in the dark, but you finally find it, and that sort of points to you that this is the warehouse, at least unless there are more warehouses marked currently, which is of course hard for you to tell, but you're pretty certain this is the right warehouse.
Based on that certainty, I'm going to pass the lantern to one of my compatriots. I'm gonna try to put my hood on and possibly walk around. I just want to see kind of like those weird entrances or exits we can think of. I'm trying to think of infiltration points for this specific warehouse without being seen. And then from there, just to plan it out ahead of time, just in case.
Yeah, 1 second. The warehouse is there you go. Yeah, so it's a fairly big building. About 30 by 20 meters. And it has 1 second, it has a description somewhere. Yeah, so it's a single story with 3-meter high walls, and it only has one entrance, which is about a gate, not a gate, a wide door, a double door, 2.5 meters wide. So you can roll a cart in directly into it. Made from oak, which is imported and fairly expensive, and hard. It has a built-in lock, and it's obviously locked.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to be easy to force open. And then you find make a perception check. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm gonna do my point of luck, my first one of the night, and re-roll this.
Yeah, that's a bad roll.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's better. Yeah.
that's a little better.
Okay, so at the gables on each end of the warehouse, up 4 meters from the ground, so up on the gables supporting the roof, you there are some small shuttered windows, which you know from experience is so you can open them for airflow. In case you're storing something which needs fresh air, you can open them in each end to get a draft through the whole building. So those you could also enter through if you can climb up, and they're just shutters, so they're much easier to force open if you can get 4 meters up from the ground, right?
Got it.
But those are those are the only entrances and exits you can find, and
Okay.
of course the doorway, the double doors face the street.
Okay.
Whereas the gable windows are in small alleyways running between the next warehouses, right?
Got it. All right. I'll walk back, relay that to my fellow employees, and then I think we can at least figure it out. Hopefully, it's the right one, so we can at least head back and try to set it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Grimel said he had men to help us with this, so we're not alone.
Correct.
Should we keep one of us here to keep an eye on it?
Good idea.
What am I saying? Warehouses don't move.
Leopold, do you think you could stay around here and be part of the street?
I was muted. I can stay here and nurse this bottle of mine.
Yeah.
I won't drink it though. I promise.
Yeah.
I won't. I'll just sit here and I'll keep an eye on everybody and make sure this building keeps me upright.
We need a full report of any going on around here when we get back. Yeah.
I'll do my best for you. You know, we are helping the little people here, as we say. So yes, indeed, I will do my best.
Right.
My best will be good enough.
Let's get back to reporting in and get some more people.
Okay, so the three of you move back to wander with Grimel, who's been waiting.
Yeah.
And Leopold, you'll be nursing a bottle of beer.
Indeed, right? Yes. I'll be sipping. I won't be doing it to go all the way. I'll be just making the act.
I'd like you to take a check to decide if you can manage that. But even if you fail, it's only beer. So, but yeah.
Yeah. It's very nice beer, though. But no, I'm fine. I failed it, so I'm fine.
You managed to only sip it.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So you're sipping beer and trying to look about. Okay. Make a perception check then, please.
Ooh, nice.
Very nice.
Not bad.
Okay. Okay. So while the others are away, one guard patrol passes. They let you be. They don't bother you. And guard patrols here are both city guard and city watch. So it'll be two people in mail shirts with real weapons, and then two people with clubs and essentially a helmet and a bucket of water each to try to like douse fires if they see anything.
Nice.
Raise the alarm. So it's like combined. So each patrol is 4 people of like that, and because control is fairly important in a medieval city. But you'd also notice that fairly regularly groups of street urchins, young kids living in the street, pass by, and it seems that from until the others arrive, the same kids sort of pass by a few times.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah.
they seem to be watching the place.
Yeah.
But you don't see any like gang members.
No
Anything.
gang members, just these kids. That's good to know.
The same group of let's say three young kids living in the streets, or at least living poor lives, who keep passing by the same place.
For no reason whatsoever, other
Yeah,
than
they're
just
just dangling through the
yeah.
streets, but they seem to be coming by here awfully a lot.
Yeah, fantastic.
The three of you move up to there, nearby the pewter pot where you left Grimel.
Yep.
And rendezvous with him. He is meeting you there with let's see if I can remember. I can't. Second. How many people do he come with?
Small army, right?
50.
No.
All the people.
5. So Grimel and 5 other
Oh,
people.
nice.
They all seem like fairly ragged folk. They're so he's standing there. He's fairly well dressed, not anything ostentatious, but he has traveling clothes and of good quality. And the 5 people he's standing there with, when you approach him, they look like poor sots. It really seems that he's just going down to the poorer pieces of the poorer areas of the city. That would be mainly Ragtown, which is sort of the slums, and paid someone to come with him. That's at least how it seems. They're wearing very, very ragged clothing, and they look a bit sunken in the faces, and yeah. So it's not exactly muscle, but he has five of those. And then when you approach him, I assume you just walk up to him in the open.
Yeah.
Bren, good to see you. Have you found the warehouse?
I'm confident we have. We've been monitoring it. There's been a lot of break-ins recently, so there's guards everywhere. And I feel like I see a lot of the brass docks walking around.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't know. We presume we found the right place, but it's hard to tell. There's a lot of little icons carved into the wood throughout the area, so it's hard to figure out which one is the one the old lady was talking about.
Yeah, that sounds right from what Rachel said. Great, then lead on. We'll go there straight away.
All right, but let's not be too obvious, guys. I feel like a giant squad's gonna kind of.
What exactly are we doing here, Grimel? Are we going into the building, or
we will enter the building and we find the illegal weapons? Yes, and then see if you trace the origin, or find out anything else to try to unravel this mystery. Yes.
And if the city guard call us out on this, you're confident that there'll be a understanding of why we're trying to solve this crime, right?
And let me handle that problem. Yes, we're investigating crime, I would say, so they should be supportive.
Can I roll my insight or something to have a quick paranoia about Grimel? Does he seem
definitely
legitimate?
Please be paranoid.
I don't know if I fully trust him, and I'd like to spend a point of luck to reverse that to a 37, if I may.
Yeah, you may.
All right. Okay,
so Grimel seems really confident about the whole thing. I think also need to roll for him. Sorry,
because he's lying to me.
Yeah, at least it needs to at least appear so, even if you're telling the truth, right? So you said 37?
Correct.
He seems really confident that should not be a problem. But it's also clear there's something he's not telling you.
Can I ask him? So why are you investing your funds in Ragtown as opposed to more legitimate avenues?
These people move about everywhere, so it's much easier to go places where the city guard essentially don't want to deal with them. So when you send them out into the city, they can pass through areas where because the city guard will just avoid them, and the gangers will just avoid them. People don't really like realizing that there are poor people around. Of course, I can send them into the other city, but I don't need to for this this mission.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Can't really argue with that.
A lot of my investigations have been going on in Ragtime.
Right, so you would have extensive contacts there. That makes sense that you could recruit easily.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I guess let's go to it then.
Yep.
The place was locked up. I don't know if that's going to be a problem for you, Grimel.
I hope some of you can handle locks, but otherwise we'll have to see if we can break open the door without making too much noise. Or find a more stealthy way in. I really leave that up to your expertise.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure we got somebody who can handle the lock. I just wanted to bring it up, I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
So just
going,
for the record, Grimel does. Grimel is a very charismatic person and confident person. So you don't know him from before, but he really seems like a person who could take leadership of a group of people like the ones he has brought here, and he seems confident in his leadership of things like this.
He seems confident, but I feel like I'm missing a piece to really say I get what he's doing.
You definitely find that he's holding something back from you, but that's not too surprising in this city, I'd say.
Yeah, fair. I guess we're marching on down to the warehouse then.
Yeah.
And just for pacing purposes, I just need you. We're stopping here at what is 10 for you, right?
Yes. Yeah. So about 25 minutes.
That's perfect for cliffhanger, I think. So
Brilliant. Ooh.
Great. Okay, so you're going down to the warehouse.
Yeah.
It's about 9 o'clock in the evening now, and yeah, you move down there. When you're passing through the city, Enchanted Town, there are a bit of nightlife at the various inns, but not much. So you can travel fairly easy. Most people have gone to bed at this point to get up early for day laboring. And then you don't encounter any guards or gangsters or anything like that on your way to the warehouse. So when you come down, you essentially have to just look for Leopold, and you find him sitting across from the warehouse with a bottle that still has content in it, which is a nice change of pace for him.
Well done, Leopold. Well done.
And yeah, so Leopold, you see your 3 companions and Grimel and 5 very ragged, dirty types come towards you and say hello.
No,
and now
just
you're outside the warehouse.
Yeah, I'll explain that. There's just a group of young street urchins going past. It's the same group going past, and just in a circle. They seem to be just randomly coming past the building and keeping an eye on it. They were the guards, of course, but they were just on duty.
How long
Anything
ago
else
was the last patrol of guards? Was it like a full hour ago, or just recently?
You've been gone for maybe 30 minutes. I'd say the last patrol was 10 minutes ago.
Oh, that's good.
Yes,
That's
you
good.
did learn from your investigations that the patrols are hourly. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. So that does give us some time, presumably.
Unless you've learned wrong or something changes weird, it should be about almost an hour before the next patrol. Yes.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time the guilds have screwed my family, but I'm just gonna trust it for now. Huddling up, I guess. So which one of us knows how to break into buildings?
It's not me.
Maybe me. Maybe I don't.
Well, you essentially have 3 different options. You can
Mm.
try to brawn your way through the front door, or you can try to pick the lock, or you can try to somehow get
On
4
top of
meters
the
in
roof.
the air and get the shutters open on the game on the windows at the end, and then someone goes in and opens the door from the inside.
You said it's 4 meters up.
Yeah.
Okay. 16
Okay.
feet.
Can anyone pick a lock?
And of course, that means if you get in, there's 4 meters drop on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't really have any rope. Make sense of this.
You don't
We're
have a 10-foot
missing-
rope on you?
Missing our ladder.
I think if we can pick the lock, we can close the door behind us once we're in. Question
Yeah,
is, can
but-
anyone pick a lock?
I don't think any one of you has lockpicking. No.
No.
I think we
No.
left that character behind.
We did. Yeah.
You
No.
left
And that's
the-
what happens when you're drinking instead of partying with your friends. Work.
So yeah, lockpicking is out.
I think maybe we should just give it a quick push and see what happens.
Yeah. If
uh,
we're fast, they could just presume this is another break-in that happened,
Hmm.
similar to the others. So
I think that should be our second option. I really think that there's a possibility that we can get somebody through that top the plan 3. It might
Well, I'm not
hurt,
doing that.
but
No.
well, if somebody
I-
can lift me up, I will try my best.
we
I'll
can
take
lift you up,
destiny.
but you're gonna have to lift yourself up part of it.
Well,
Six,
what-
six. That's
Rocker,
kinda up there.
can't you do that thing with your fingers?
I beg your pardon.
That thing you do.
I mean, the world's smallest island. What?
Yeah. Can't you do anything with this lock? I've seen you do some things.
No. I don't have any spells like that at all. I could heat it up, But
That
it's-
sounds risky.
but it's
Yeah.
not enough heat to burn it.
Oh. That's a good trick to know when it's cold in the night time.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's used for.
Okay,
Maybe
Heinrich, give me a lift.
4 meters.
Throw me.
try it.
No, that's a good point. No,
Yeah, it's
I
we're
would
gonna have
need to
brush
jump
through.
from your hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that
Well,
might be better still than this. I could try my athletics.
And climb up.
Yes, maybe. Does it look like this idea is even possible?
I'm
Well,
not.
it's a fairly rough stone wall, so an athletic person could conceivably climb 4 meters. Now, of course, whether they can break it open or shutter while standing there, maybe hanging.
Hold on to-
It's right on the peak of
Yeah.
the roof, so if you get up, you might be able to hang, like support yourself on the roof beams and then break it open. It's a rough stone wall, so it's not unclimbable.
Okay, that's what I was hoping. I'll hopefully getting a boost from Heinrich to start off my climb. I'll put my knife in my teeth and I want to climb up to try and cut it down, I guess. See if we can do this a little more subtle before we bash open the door.
Yeah, and you are actually the most athletic person at 38%.
Yeah.
I make sure that I get out my first aid kit in preparation.
Thank you.
I'll allow if Heinrich is supporting, I'll allow Braun to augment your athletics.
Yeah, my brawn's not that great, but yeah, I'll help support. 36 is my brawn. So
That's more than double my brawn.
Would that
Oh,
be
that's
a
good.
7 augment?
Was it 30?
Yes.
Yeah,
Would it be 8,
six.
wouldn't it?
8.
Yeah.
8.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Eight.
always round up on the crit.
And here is my athletics with an augment of 8. I have 1 luck point left.
You can do it.
Yes.
You managed. Wow.
But succeeded hard.
So yeah, this merchant girl gets a boost from Heinrich and manages to scamper up the wall in the dress.
It's always the quiet ones.
It did.
I'm the loudest one in this group.
But yeah, you managed to find it's not that hard of a climb. You find after looking at it after trying it,
Mhm.
you can like find handholds in between the stones and these rough local stones, and then once you get up at a certain distance, you figure out, oh, I can like the angle of the roof. You get up and get one hand on the support beam, and then sort of like get yourself to the peak of the triangle, and then you support yourself there, and then you're at the shuttered window. To force it open, I want an easy brawn check.
All right, time to flex my muscles, remove my augment. Brawn, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Destiny!
Hey.
Yes.
Strength of a
So
bear.
you actually managed to yeah, you find a shuttered window, and then you just like whack it, and the peg on the inside just breaks, and you can open it and
Very
scan
nice.
in. And then of course you're looking into complete darkness at the other side, and you know there's so you're in the window now, supported. You're not gonna fall. But you're looking into into a building that's completely dark. And you know there's a 4-meter drop in front of you.
Okay.
Which is not, you can hang yourself, you could lower yourself and then drop 2 meters roughly, but you don't know what's on the ground because it's dark inside.
And is the inside wall just as rough as the outside, or is it more smoothed on the inside?
It's rough. It's just a warehouse. It hasn't been
Okay.
plastered.
I'd like to try and climb my way down.
If you climb down and then hang and then drop, it's gonna be less of a fall.
I don't want to fall into a crate full of spears.
True.
So that's why I'd like to try and reverse and then climb my way down.
Okay.
I'll go as fairly slowly, I guess, because I'm probably like feeling for handholds rather than anything. But
Make an athletic check, yeah.
oh, there's no way I could succeed for a third time here. But I still have 1 point of luck.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'll give it a reroll here with my last point of luck. Can't go wrong.
Ouch.
Oh, don't say that.
Okay, so you start climbing down the inside of the wall. Let's say you rolled 64, so that's a fairly bad fail. Okay, you you slip and fall after you climbed down about 1 meter. So let's say you take 1d3 damage to your right leg
That makes sense.
from a sprain.
Do you want me to roll the damage?
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't tell if you just did 1d3 to my right leg. That's a 1.
Nice.
So
Ouch.
you essentially land hard on your leg and sprain your ankle.
Ow. You guys, he can hear probably from the other
It
side.
hurts, but it'll be over in a day or something, right?
Yeah,
And
that smarts.
But yeah, the rest of you make a perception check.
Nope. Nope.
The ones, so that's Heinrich, and
Leopold.
Leopold. Yeah, you both hear the from inside.
We hear a girl scream.
I assume that Enelin knows not to scream in this situation, but you hear the yelp when she loses her hold, and the ow when she hits the ground. And you do hit the floor of the building. You don't land into a crate or something like that. You do land on a hard stamp floor.
Rocker, if my ears aren't deceiving me, we may need your services in a minute.
Cool.
I guess I'll limp towards where I can remember the door being. Trying to orient myself with the open window. And I'm going to try and unlock the door in the dark.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to. I'll knock like kind of inconspicuously as much as possible, so that way she can hear where the door roughly is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Make a perception check, Emily.
Perception.
Nice.
34 or 44.
Nice.
Really enjoying those 30s.
Okay, so it takes you about 5 minutes to go through the warehouse, because you keep trying to follow it's supposed to go over to that wall, but there keeps being crates in the way, and then like a row of crates, and then you need to decide, do I scamper over this or move your pier, and then you end up like just going through the darkness hard, but fairly quickly you make your way over there without losing too much time. Let's just see if someone arrives while you're in there.
While I'm limping through this maze.
No. So you reach the door, and luckily on the inside, it's just something you can slide to the side manually, which is what the lock would do. A bar, right? Which you can manually just move. And then open the door and let the others in.
I will absolutely do that for my comrades and try and conceal my pain.
How many of you have the lanterns open?
I have a lantern.
Okay, and then Grimel have one, and 3 of his people have. So there are 5 lanterns in total.
Nice.
And you're 10 people. Great.
All right.
Okay.
I just want to check, ask Annalyn if she's injured or not.
I mean, I twisted my ankle a little bit, trying to do a proper fall, but yeah, I'm fine-ish.
You probably should cut it off. I think it makes sense.
Maybe some icing. We'll do the amputation later if it gets worse.
I'll pick out one of my balms that I carry around in my various potion bottles, and
maybe throw some leeches on there.
Yeah, and just sort of like bring out this rather dark green sludgy slime and sort of like smear it over your ankle, hopefully getting the ankle that was actually injured. Can I roll a first aid roll?
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go.
I'm being punished.
Here we go. Yes. I
succeeded on the roll.
Yes.
No, roll to make sure you got the right leg.
Yeah.
He puts some weird concoction on it that doesn't smell particularly well, but for some reason it gives it gets cold. So it's like wrap something, and then he takes a small bottle and pours something on it, and then you feel cold through the bandage, which soothes the joint. So really quickly you don't feel anything anymore. So heal the damage.
Oh, thank you, Rocker.
No need to roll since it was 1 point of damage.
Yeah, that's very helpful.
There you go. My mission, my role is completed.
Yeah. Okay.
We all find our destiny some way.
Exactly.
So while you do that, Grimel and his people starts to come through the warehouse, and he suggests that I'll just take it in character. Can one of you watch the door, then and the rest help with looking through all these crates, trying to find the weapons?
Yeah, I'll watch the door. I'll lock it behind. Let you guys do the searching instead of the crawling.
Cool.
Great.
It's
Thank you.
fair.
And he starts helping as well. It's a fairly big warehouse. There are a lot of crates, and you're walking essentially. Some of you have to team up with one of Grimel's men or people. They're not all men. To share a lantern with them and start combing through things. But you are 9 people looking, so it does speed up the process a bit. But it does take about half an hour for you to look through most of it until let's see, Rutger, at the along the back wall, you identify you and Leopold with his lantern. Find 3 large crates. Large 3 crates about half a meter long, and so large enough that a person can carry them. They're not like people casket size or something like that. But still a crate which would be unhandy to carry, right? And you find 3 of those stacked along the back wall. And when you all the other crates you've looked in so far, they contain various iron produce, so farming tools and bars and thongs and hammers and things like that. So which you know is Guilden's main export. It's iron produce. But these, when you lift open the lid, you just lift it open, and you see blades. You don't have to. You haven't looked in all crates thoroughly, right? So you just tip open and see blades, and then you know something is different in this one, right?
Leopold, do these look illegal?
Well, the weapons aren't there, which means that somebody's trying to smuggle them in. So yes, these definitely are the things we're looking for. And I'll lean across and whisper in that whisper that you expect to carry a whole room. And about Grimel, I think we found something.
Great, I'll be right there. You're here. And of course you can't. You get the impression that he starts gathering his people to move up to where you are. So do you just wait, or do you start unpacking the crates, or what do you do?
No, we've seen one that's got stuff in it, so let's have a look at the other ones and see what's in the others.
Okay, so you move. It takes a bit of time to get all the people in the darkness the same place. So you move the crates so they're side by side and open them all.
Yeah.
Do that. Okay, so in the crates, those 3 crates are all filled with various sorts of weapons. Make a perception check, the 2 of you, and Heirik, you're still moving towards.
Yeah.
Oh, 54 out of 55.
I'll tell you what, it's the last.
Let me have my moment. Let me.
Okay. I'll let you have a moment.
Let me have my moment.
I am holding the torch.
Your expertise in quickly identifying what poultices and potions you have on you allows you to quickly get an overview of the content of these 3 crates.
Yeah.
And you see that there are 5 crossbows, 50 broadhead crossbow bolts,
Ouch.
10 langes messes, and 10 good daggers. But one thing you notice from looking at them from your perception check is that none of them bears a maker's mark, which is very unusual, because usually the blacksmith who makes them, as part of guild regulation, would put his mark on them so that guild searchers and various other things can identify the quality of his work and trace him back if something fails. but none of these has Maker's Mark on them. which
As
is great.
Leopold sort of like contacting and sort of like holding up the lantern, and I'm going through these, I suddenly see this and just sort of like saying hushed tones to Leopold. So like, Leopold, these weapons have no marking on them. No
Oh.
Maker's Mark.
Well, that's wrong.
And I sort of like move a couple more. It's all of them. None of them has a Maker Mark on it.
Hmm.
So yeah, these are definitely illegal weapons, also according to guild regulations, simply because of that. Or at least illegal, but against guild regulations. So someone is making weapons knowing that they are to be used for something
Illegal.
illegal. And
Interesting.
what?
Interesting.
And here then comes the cliffhanger, because we need to stop now.
Yep.
But when Grimel and his people move up, Grimel takes a look around and says, "Yes, good, well done. They found him." Then he nods to his people, and his people start moving over like 2 by each crate, and then they each take out a small vial from inside their cloaks, about this size, and quickly unstop it and start pouring a weird liquid, like milky white liquid, over the weapons.
Do I know what this liquid is with my law alchemy?
Take a check.
Come on. Yes. 31 out of 49.
You have no idea. And I think we'll stop it there.
My moment was almost there second time, but it okay, yeah. Thank you very much, everybody. There's lots of people. I know Darth the answer said, "Ooh, good roll," and then said, "Ha ha ha, oh well." As my moment came. Thank you to everybody in the chat for supporting us tonight. I hope you really enjoyed it. And don't forget that the episode will go out onto YouTube, and any members of YouTube, you will gain early access to it. Dan, thank you very much for leading us through the first half of the adventure. Do you think one more session finish it off?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll be back next week to finish things off. Mr. Pickles, anything that you would like to announce?
I have a podcast that I mention every time here, and I took that personally on Apple and Spotify podcasts. It's just me and my friend talking about movies, and editing is finally wrapping up on our latest episode. So that'll be coming out soon.
Excellent. Yeah. And Medivac?
Very quickly then. Baldur's Gate tomorrow night at 7-ish. No Cyberpunk Red on Monday this week because of work commitments, but back on Warhammer on Thursday at 7:30. So yeah,
fantastic.
Dan, Sigma.
Sorry, Dan. Dan, just so you know, Darthian says, "Thanks, Dan. Good adventure so far." So praise from the chat is praise indeed. And
that's good.
And Cascade, can't wait to see part 2, and said, even with my late arrival, he said, great GM job. So well done. Excellent. I will be, I'm avoiding you, Captain. I'm literally avoiding you. Dan, is there anything you would like to announce while you've got the people's attention?
Just that when this book does come out, and hopefully we're talking a few weeks, then please give it a look. Even if you don't play Mythos yourself, most of this book is just details about the city, its areas, its sample schemes. You could very, very quickly convert it to whatever system you want, especially if it's a D100 system, but it could fairly easily go over into D&D as well. Most of it is just NPCs, motivations, schemes all around, and a very, very, very detailed city. So do take a look, even if you're not playing Mythos.
Right.
Other than that, I also have an online presence. I have a very, very sparsely underdeveloped YouTube channel, but I'm more active on Instagram. On both people, I'm called Dan Through History, where I do historical martial arts and reenactment. So I share reenactment pictures,
Fantastic.
things like that.
I need to
Cool.
find that. I need to find that and follow you. Follow
I
you.
hope for more YouTube content in the future, but so far it's mostly been Instagram.
Fantastic. Yes, and it's got a wonderful. The front cover for Book of Schemes is absolutely fantastic. I love it because I've caught a glimpse of that when talking to Loz about things. So brilliant. If you would like to see me streaming, I'll be streaming again tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock with some more Elder Scrolls Online as we complete the Gates to Oblivion event. And then, of course, tomorrow evening about 6:30, I'll be doing my GM prep that the players are banned from watching at all. So, yes, lots of streams coming up in the following week for everybody. And hopefully we'll be back this time next week, same time next week, to finish off and see what's going on with these weapons. Until then, look after yourself, everyone. Stay safe and healthy. And it's goodbye from me. And guys, say goodbye as well.
Bye as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching.
Farewell.
I then have to do that.